Namaste and a very good evening. I'm Sujata Shankar, convener of Chennai chapter of INTAC. I extend a warm welcome to each of you who has joined us today, to members and friends of INTAC. A special welcome to Mr. N. Vittal, Padma Bhushan awardee. We're indeed honored and thankful to you, sir, for kindly agreeing to share your thoughts on the Tanjavur Maharashtrians and the cultural contribution in Tamil Nadu, an aspect of our multi-layered heritage. Welcome to Mrs. Sujata Vijayaraghavan, who will give her observations after today's talk. INTAC, an acronym for the Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage, was set up 37 years ago in 1984 as a non-profit organization with a vision to spearhead heritage awareness and conservation in India and to protect India's vast, unprotected, built, natural, cultural, and intangible heritage. INTAC today is recognized as the largest heritage organization in India with over 200 chapters across the country. At Chennai chapter, we have through these programs and initiatives been creating awareness about the significance of our heritage over the years, which are being held online since the lockdown. INTAC Chennai chapter programs are posted on Instagram and Facebook page of INTAC Chennai chapter, and programs can also be viewed on our YouTube channel. Today's focus is on Tanjavur Maharashtrians, a Marathi-speaking minority community settled about 3 centuries ago in Tanjavur and now spread across the state. Colloquially referred to as Rayars, they have shone as divans, administrators, and noblemen. They've contributed in bringing their own flavor to the culture of the region. I have pleasure in introducing Mr. N. Vittal today. Mr. Nagarajan Vittal has retired after a distinguished career in the Indian Administrative Services and is a recipient of the Padma Bhushan in 2012. Mr. Vittal has not only been a stellar administrator, but a thinker, writer, and speaker on a wide range of issues, including public governance, management, information technology, and on Maharashtrians of Tamil Nadu, being one himself. He has authored 18 books. Who can forget his crusading role as the Central Vigilance Commissioner in the late 90s? As CVC, he put to use information technology to fight corruption for the first time. Born in Thiruvananthapuram in 1938, he obtained a degree in BSc Honours in Chemistry from Madras and lectured in a college in Trichy before he joined the IAS in 1960 in the Gujarat cadre. In his 42 years in public administration, he has worked with the Government of India, State Government of Gujarat, as well as the joint sector enterprise Gujarat Narmada Valley Fertilizer Company. His creative and innovative approach left a mark in each area of his work. He was Industries Commissioner of Gujarat from 1977 to 1980. As Managing Director of the Gujarat Narmada Valley Fertilizer Company from 1982 to 87. He made GNFC into a model public sector enterprise with thrust on social development and environmental protection. He took the initiative to get the minor port of Dahej, which had never handled ships, fit for importing fertilizers. He was instrumental in establishing the first English medium college at Bharuch, the Narmada College of Science and Commerce, affiliated to the South Gujarat University. Mr. Vittal occupied key policy-making positions in two significant sectors in the 90s, information technology and telecommunication. As Secretary, Department of Electronics, he initiated setting up software technology parks with policies for promoting the industry. As chairman of the Telecom Commission, he played a key role in drafting the historic 1994 National Telecom Policy, which paved the way for privatization and spectacular growth. After retiring from the IAS in 1996, he was appointed by the Government of India to be the chairman of the Public Enterprises Selection Board, where he made procedures more transparent and effective. After active service as Central Vigilance Commissioner from 1998 to 2002, he's been working in the areas of education, people empowerment, and the IT sector. Needless to say, he's been a recipient of many honors and lifetime achievement awards from reputed organizations, including the CII Southern Region, Computer Society of India, Cyber Society of India, and several others. He is an honorary member of the Institute of Electronic and Telecommunication Engineers, as well as the Institution of Industrial Engineers of India. Fluent in Tamil, Hindi, and Gujarati, his mother tongue is Marathi. We're honored that you're here, sir, to speak to our members. Over to Sri Vittal.
Thank you very much. I must begin by thanking INTAC, Chennai Center, and also all those who helped me in making this presentation, particularly Praveen and Niharika Praveen, my son-in-law and granddaughter respectively. And this is going to be an exercise in exploring our past and also how we came to occupy this position. And in spite of being a microscopic minority, how we are able to make a contribution in the in the evolution of Tamil Nadu. That is because Tanjavur, everything in the talk at the end you will find is somehow related to the greatest Maratha of all, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. When we think of Shivaji Maharaj, we cannot forget his guru, Samartha Ramdas. Both of them had been to Tanjavur, and it is actually to Chhatrapati Shivaji and Samartha Ramdas we should thank for the presence of Maharashtrians, even though they are a microscopic minority of probably less than even 2 lakhs. But the fact remains that for nearly 179 years, in the 17th to the 19th century, they ruled Tanjavur. Regime change always is not a neat operation. And as anybody who knows about history and heritage and culture knows, that there are so many events taking place beyond human control. And it is because of this and the contribution of great visionaries that make regime changes possible. The presence of Maharashtrians, Marathi-speaking people in Tamil Nadu is hardly less than 0.1%. We can say today the Tamil Nadu population is about 8 crores. Less than 2 lakhs will be Marathi-speaking people who we call Tanjavur Maharashtrians because that Tanjavur was ruled for these 179 years from 1675 to 1855 by the Maharashtrians. The Tanjavur transition regime change in Tanjavur came in 1676, but at that time there were two claimants. Surprisingly, the younger brother of half brother of Shivaji, he came in first after the dissatisfied people in the Nayaka rulers who were ruling at that time approached him. But simultaneously, there are always regime changes take place because of politics and dissatisfied people. So another group, they approached Chhatrapati Shivaji. So much so, Yekoji or Vinkoji, who established the Tanjavur kingdom, was before you could finally fully settle, Shivaji also came. The very even today, there is evidence that on 3rd October 1677, Chhatrapati Shivaji himself came and worshipped at Kalikamba temple. We know the guru of Chhatrapati Shivaji was Samartha Ramdas, and he always inspired him. And it was Samartha Ramdas who visualized Hindu Patpatshahi and how with the vision of Bhavani and Kalikamba, he established the empire. But when Shivaji was a great visionary, but his half-brother Yekoji or Vinkaji was the man who established the kingdom, and his vision was limited to Tanjavur only. So in 1676, Shivaji met his brother Vinkoji in a place called in Bhuvanagiri in Tanjavur district, and came to a settlement with him. So with the understanding that while Tanjavur will be exclusively ruled by Vinkoji, Yekoji and his families, the rest of the empire, it will not be interfered with. This place in Tanjavur, where both the brothers came to an understanding, is called Tambik Nallan Pattinam. That still there. But the for 179 years, the about 12 rulers ruled Tanjavur, and their focus was not so much on fighting and expanding their empire, but on nurturing culture. And as we go through this record, we will find that their contribution covers all fields. And it will come as a surprise to you that the most common and popular dish we all eat in Tamil Nadu today, sambar, was invented in the palace of Tanjavur when Yekoji's son, Shaji II, who ruled from 16th, for about 7 years, he was the person who invited a lot of learned people and Vidwans, so that he was developing in his court. He had invited all the learned Pandits, and he was not only a lot of Telugu verses, Sanskrit works, and Tamil dramas were written by the people in his court, and his interest also was not only restricted to literature, but even in the culinary art. It is said that once he wanted to make the Marathi dish ambat, dal ambat, and for dal ambat in Maharashtra we use kokum, which is contributes the element of sourness, but kokum was not available, and therefore Shahji II experimented not with kokum but tamarind, and with that dish became so tasty, so much so when Shivaji's son Sambhaji visited him, this dish was presented to him as not only as a royal invention, adding to the taste, but also in his honor, this dish was named as Sambhaji's Ahar, Sambar. Surprisingly, according to Nandita Krishna, who happens to be the granddaughter of the another great Diwan of Travancore, Sir C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer, has said that in Modi's script in the Saraswati Mahal, which is there in Tanjavur today, there is a description of this experiment done by Shahaji II and how Shahaji's Ahar became Sambar. But instead of spending our thoughts on food, we can go to the more substantial issue of how ultimately it is the orderly governance that the Tanjavur kings provided over 179 glorious years that contributed to the growth of culture. More than culture, the very dynamics of how different, in a way, the culture of India is like a tapestry or with beautiful threads. A beautiful thread is contributed by the from the Maratha side by the rulers of Tanjavur, and they were able to do this because with excellent advisors, they could give good governance throughout their entire period. And the Tanjavur Maharashtrians who helped them to become a good, who helped for good governance, where mostly they came from Konkanastas or Chitpavans, but from other parts of Maharashtra also they came. And in the time available, we will just focus on three of those people who helped in governance. And the most outstanding of them is Sir Tanjore Madhav Rao, Tanjavur Madhav Rao, whose great granddaughter Pramila Lal has written an excellent biography which has been published by the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. And Sir T. Madhav Rao's great contribution was in being a coach of one of the great rulers of Baroda in recent times, Sayajirao Gaikwad. He was, Sayajirao Gaikwad was coached from the age of 9 to Until he became mature at the age of 18 and succeeded to the throne by Sarti Madhav Rao. But Sarti Madhav Rao, before he came to Baroda, had already proved his competence in the southern state of Travancore when the Travancore rulers appreciated his work. Chitrai Tirunal, who was a ruler of Travancore, paid high contributions not only to Sarti Madhav Rao, but also to the Tanjavur Maharashtrians uh, hailing from Konkan region and other part of Maharashtra, uh, from Desh and so on. And he said that he chose one Ramarao as his Diwan because he was also from the same place, and this tradition continues, and many Maharashtrian, Tanjavur Maharashtrians were Diwans in different states. Mysore had them. Sati Madhav himself, after serving in Baroda, also served in Indore for the Holkar family. As the Maharashtrian rule was succeeded by the British rule, the Sati Madhav Rao also was present to ensure that Sayaji Rao was properly guided, and he gave a whole set of instructions called minor hints, which has been published by the Gujarat government. Incidentally, the current Prime Minister, Narendra Bhai Modi, also comes from Sidhpur, which is part of the Baroda Gaekwadi kingdom, and he had drawn attention to how, on the advice of Sati Madhav Rao, Sayaji Rao's regime had a library in every village, and the women's education was given high importance. So this tradition of great Diwans, it continued in other well-run states like Karnataka, Mysore, and also Travancore, not to speak of others. As the British succeeded the Tanjavur rulers, thereafter the Maharashtrians' contribution came into civil service and also engineering. As we look up, for example, the Chitrai Tirunal of Travancore, I said, was greatly appreciative of the Maharashtrians, and it was C. Balakrishna Rao, whose picture you see, who was a chief engineer and designed the water supply system which feeds Thiruvananthapuram today. This was built during a period of 5 years from 28 to 1933, when Lord Wellington came to inaugurate the waterworks. He was surprised that a black man has been able to plan so well, and in appreciation, and then the whole project has been done with a saving of 3 lakhs of money out of the 28 lakhs originally provided for. And for the excellent work done, Chitrai Tirunal conferred on him the title Vastu Vidya Kusala. And we have already referred to the Dr. Sir C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer, who was the Diwan at a later stage, and whose granddaughter Nandita Krishna had given the story about the origin of Sambar in the early part of our talk. Here, the Mr. Balakrishna Rao was also helpful and worked with Sir C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer in setting up the Government Engineering College, Thiruvananthapuram. For this, he was given the title Vastu Vidya Kushala. This tradition did not only stop with the Tanjore Maharaja period or the British period. After the British left, as we all know, thanks to the vision of Sardar Patel, the services, the Indian civil service was retained, and Indian Administrative Service was constituted in its place. And Indian civil service was so much hated that during the freedom struggle, leaders used to say it is neither Indian nor civil nor a service, but they wanted to abolish it. It was Sardar Patel who not only integrated India and India's 600 and odd states into one in a remarkable period of 1.5 years, but also retained the civil service, and the Indian Administrative Service was started in 1948. The tradition of Tanjavur Maharashtrian playing a key role continued at this time also, and in 1949, one of the Tanjavur Maharashtrians of our time, Krishnaswamy Rao Sahib, joined the service. He was known so much for his efficiency and honesty and his political sagacity that he was picked up by Morarji Desai during Janata government to head the Commerce Ministry. And when Chaudhary Charan Singh became the first non-Congress Prime Minister in independent India, he picked up Rao Sahib to be his principal secretary. And when Indira Gandhi succeeded him, she specifically selected Rao Sahib to be her cabinet secretary. His services were used even after his retirement as India's representative in the World Bank for his contribution. Another great president of India, Abdul Kalam, conferred on him the Padma Vibhushan, which is next only to Bharat Ratna in the order of honor. So the tradition of Tanjavur Maharashtrians ensuring and becoming part of good governance in the country has continued from the days when the forefathers of the today's Maharashtrians, Tanjavur Maharashtrians, moved to Tanjavur in the time of the Tanjavur kings, and continues. This contribution of the Tanjavur kings now spread over not only governance, but also affected every aspect of life, including art and culture. When it comes to the art, the greatest art we can think of is the music, the Carnatic music, and the great trinity of Carnatic music, Saint Tyagaraja, Muthuswami Dikshidhar, and Shyama Sastri, all flourished during the rules of the Tanjavur kings. And it was when the Tanjavur king, Sarabhoji II, invited Tyagaraja to be his court Asthana Vidwan. He sang the famous Nidichala Sukama in Mohanam. And we have seen right from the time of Shahaji II, the tradition of encouraging music has started. And Carnatic music today is actually, even today, Carnatic music, there is a close connection between Tanjavur Maharashtrians and Carnatic music. The Music Academy in Chennai was, among other things, among other people, um, connected with also the Tanjavur Maharashtrians like Madhav Rao, the Kanchi from Kanchi, and Ramachandra Rao from Kanchi. They are these music academy today is still being nourished by the contribution of the so many scholars. But this is also because in the music itself, a new dimensions were added thanks to the presence of Maharashtrians. And there is anybody familiar with Maharashtra knows the Bhakti movement and the great collection of singers, starting like with Tukaram, Gora Kumbha, Choka Mela, and others. The so this Kirtan tradition was brought by Shahji the second and and the that led to the Kirtan tradition led to Katha Kalakshepam because Marathi could not be understood. So along with the Marathi abhangs and other songs, they particularly the ladies have played a great part in development of Katha Kalakshepam, and well known among them is the Gayana Patu, Kirtana Patu, Saraswati Bai. But this and also Abhang has become part of the Carnatic music presentation. Today, Maya Joshi, for example, the sister of Vasant Sathe, says that the Tamils Carnatic musicians sing Abhang better than the Maharashtrians themselves. This has become part. And music is one, and along with music is dance. And the best dance, of course, is Bharatanatyam. It is a Tanjavur school of the great gurus who preserved the tradition of Bharatanatyam and mixed in this the whole tradition. This is possible. Their contribution has been detailed by other experts like Dr. Padma Subramaniam, who had done research in the Karanas. Along with Bharatanatyam was Kirtan tradition. Along with Kirtan tradition came the Katha Kalakshepam. And not only this, lot of metal artwork, paintings, but Tanjavur paintings are also known as Tanjavur Padam, is by itself a different has a different place in the position. And it was during Pratap Singh's time that when he went abroad, when he went all over the Tirtha Yatra, he brought Bidri work, and it is this Ganga Jamuna culture. Ganga Jamuni never called. Is the result of the Kshetradanam of the Tanjavur kings. But you find two currents flowing along with the Marathi culture. One is, of course, we have been talking about governance and change of regime, ruling, and so on. The other is the Bhakti cult. It is in the Bhakti cult that Samartha Ramdas, who was the guru of Shivaji, advised Shivaji and gave him the vision of Hindu Padpat Sahi. And even today in Tanjavur, where apparently Samartha Ramdas stayed for some time, his Manacha Shloka is being recited by many people, and um, the so this tradition continued. After all, when we think of culture, ultimately what is left there today in terms of buildings, of architecture, to remind us of the contribution of the Maharashtrians. In the uh, picture which is being displayed on the screen, on the right is the Manora, which was a structure built on the seashore to celebrate the victory of British over Napoleon in Waterloo. The Tanjavur became a halting place for all Maharashtrians on their way to Rameshwaram, and the Tanjavur rulers not only repaired the temples, starting with the Brihadeshwara temple, but also others, and built a lot of chatrams where they can therefore can stay. All the pilgrims can stay on their way to Rameshwaram. And this continuous flow, and we have seen how earlier the Kirtankars and others came, artists came. So Tanjavur became a magnet for talent and culture, and that tradition continues to this day. The association of Marathi with Tamil Nadu goes back. Surprisingly, in the time of Puranas. In fact, Vishwanath Khaire, who was a chief engineer in the CPWD, has done special research and published his paper in the Journal of Tamil Studies in the June 79 and December 79 issue, where he points out the link between Tamil and Marathi goes back a long time. The following, he makes the following comments. He considers Maharashtra as a part of the Pancha Dravidas, from quoting a sloka from the Puranas. Maharashtra, Andhra, Dravida, Karnataka, Chaiva, Gujarat, Dravida, Panchada, Prokta, Vindhya, Dakshina, Vasinaha. Therefore, even today, the Maharashtrians are called Dakshinis, and the Dakshin connection is quite strong. And that brings us to the summing up of the impact of Maharashtrians in Tamil Nadu. In fact, we have explored in the last few minutes the regime change that took place, the kings who ruled, the role of the Tanjavur Maharashtrians in different areas of and the contribution of the kings themselves. But it is not the people at very high levels, or this is a community which is known for some three things. There is plenty of talent in and then there is a great sense of integrity, and above all, the I will give only three examples. One is the SMSO Nidhi, which was started in 1913 by Maharashtrians for ensuring, particularly the middle class people, to save and have gold jewelry based on that. And Nidhi was started, but today the Nidhi is still going strong after 1913 to today, more than 100 years. Nidhi is going strong, and the very brand quality of this community of Tanjavur Maharashtrians as honest people had made the British think of appointing them as cashiers in all the railways, and they're also have tremendous talent. So integrity and talent together is a rare combination, and this continues. And I began by referring to Shivaji and Samartha Ramdas, but Shivaji continues to inspire everybody. In fact, the greatest Dravidian ruler, Dravidian leader was Ariyar Anna, whose officially his initials are C.N. Annadurai. He was inspired by Shivaji and wrote a play called Shivaji Kanda Hindu Samrajyam. That is the empire dreamt by Shivaji. An actor called V.C. Ganeshan acted in that film, and after seeing it, another great Dravidian leader called Tandai Periyar, E.V. Ramaswamy Nayakar, who founded the Dravida Kazhagam and who was a reformist himself, blessed him and said, "You are no longer Ganeshan, you are Shivaji Ganeshan." And that name stuck, and Shivaji's inspiration has affected leaders right across the country, and that tradition continues. Having spent our time so far on these issues, we should not forget the fact that the Maharashtrians in Tanjavur are mostly at the middle class level, and there is no shortage of talent. It all depends on the opportunity they get. That is for the food for thought. But now let us leave with a thought on food. And this is an achievement of Jayashree P. Rao, who came up with an excellent book, Classic Cuisine and Celebrations of Tanjavur Maharashtrians. In this, she has not only pointed out the series of festivals celebrated by Tanjavurians, Tanjavur Maharashtrians, and also the special dishes for each festival. And she has made, given the recipe of all the recipes. This was the initiate that talent of Jayashree Rao, which I am very happy to say has been universally recognized. In the screen, you see that in the year as 25th Gourmand World Outlook Awards 2020 last year was given to Jayashree P. Rao for this book which you see. And this shows that Tanjavur Maharashtrians may be a very microscopic minority, less than 2 lakhs, but they punch much beyond their weight. Murti may be small, but Kirti is large, so far as Tanjavur Maharashtrians are concerned. If you have any questions, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your nice presentation. I am Dr. V. Thirumurugan from Tanjavur. Thank you from Tanjavur, sir. Your information is very informative to me, since I am a Tanjavurian. I learned about the Maharashtrians about 180 years rule from Ecoji, and especially the dish sambar came from Maharashtrians. And I also came to know, sir, the Puliodarai is famous in Maharashtra court, actually. Puliodarai.
You are giving me credit to our community. Puliodarai was, I thought, only Sri Vaishnava's contribution.
Kinchbat.
Kinchbat.
Is famous in Maharashtra court, I have heard, sir.
Because I don't. Sanga.
I am Tamilian, sir. Thank you for your wonderful speech, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank
What's your name?
I am Tirumurugan, Dr. V. Tirumurugan.
Tirumurugan.
Yes, sir.
You are a doctor, is it?
In chemistry, I am a PhD scholar in chemistry, professor in chemistry.
Oh, I am also a chemistry student.
I seen in your biography, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Nice presentation.
Nice.
नमस्कार विठ्ठल सर. मी सुमतीराव म्हणून नरसिंहराव जिल्ह्याचे.
कुठून बोलता?
मी बेंगळुरूत आहे.
मेटूरा.
बेंगळुरूत आहे. सेविटली लॉंग यंगेस्ट वन. नरसिंहराव. उदंड अमेझिंग फॅक्ट्स सांगितल्यानंतर तुमची बुक काढून वाचावं.
वाचा.
तुम्हाला मी भेटलंय मी. Some married long back.
I am already 83. So.
I know that. Air Mivni.
Oh, I see.
मी येऊन वासुदेवराव बँगळुरू बोलतो.
सांगा. Your son is the Anand, no?
No.
Anand.
Padmanabh's brother. DRD.
Oh, LRD. Oh.
मुसोरीत मीट केलं ते मला. आता a lot of civil servants have shown great promise for the current Indian scenario, including yourself and Kissamira Sahib. Contribution केला आहे. Administration under a lot of people have contributed quite a lot in the administration in the current scenario.
I am putting it in a historical perspective and say the tradition continues.
Right.
In the past, Sarti Madhavrao Bhattacharya was my grandfather, maternal grandfather.
Balakrishna was your grandfather.
Balakrishna was my grandfather. My mother was Padma.
Anand here, namaste. It was a great presentation. We really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. It was a wonderful presentation, and I'm very proud to tell you that I'm one of the descendants of Sir T. Madhavrao. You started the presentation mentioning him.
Yeah.
Come on, video. We would like to see you. Come on, video, Aparna. We would like to see you.
Yes, here I am.
Where do you stay?
In Chennai.
Yes, Chandrika Patil.
So yes, sir. So thank you, sir, for pointing out the contributions of so many people. Like you have said, it's a very small community, but their contribution has been quite substantial. And just want to add one more fact that Sir T. Madhavrao was actually one of the first patrons of Raja Ravi Verma. He's the one who spotted his talent and encouraged him. Just adding to it.
Probably that. In Lakshmi Vilas Palace, I have seen also the paintings of Ravi Verma.
Yeah.
I was in Baroda.
Yes, there is a museum which houses Raja Ravi Verma's paintings. Yes.
Now in Bangalore, they have taken up Raja Ravi Verma's exhibition and seminars and all. I keep attending.
Yes.
I also try my brush.
Oh, very good. There is talent everywhere in our community. They require encouragement only.
Sir, I'm Raghavendra from Chennai.
Namaskar.
Sir, I'm Raghavendra from Chennai. Incidentally, I would like to recall this Sayaji Rao Gaikwad. He founded Bank of Baroda, the biggest institution, banking institution.
Oh, I see.
And-
I have
he's
given talk on Sayaj Rao in Calcutta in presence of justice there.
and
so-
incidentally, after the demise of his first wife, he married to a second wife from Tanjore.
No, the second wife also was from Tanjore, is it?
Tanjore. Second wife was from Tanjore. First, I don't know. Second wife, he is not actually not from princely. What do you call?
Yeah, he's not from Princely family.
family.
And Satya Madhavrao was, I think, played a part in the arranging the marriage.
Yeah, Madhavrao. Yes. After knowing this Travancore, this one, he took Madhavrao to his kingdom for his
Yes.
administration.
Yeah.
And along with Tanjore, no, he took all this Tanjore culture to Baroda. And in
that's-
the Sayaji University, he instituted one.
Sayaj University teaches Bharatanatyam.
Yes,
There is
yes.
actually, I was director of geology and mining in Gujarat.
Yes, yes.
So the director in the professor of geology in Baroda was on Dr. Mayer, and
Yeah.
his wife Anjali Mayer was the head of the Bharatanatyam department. So that is how the connection goes.
Yeah. Very glad to hear good words. Thank you for your words.
नमस्कार मामा मी दुर्गा बोलते हैं चेन्नई तो दुर्गा ICF नारायण राव's daughter.
Oh,
ICF नारायण राव's daughter. नमस्कार आहे.
namaskaram.
तुमचं प्रेझेंटेशन उदंड वेश होत आहे. उदंड हे पॅन्डेमिक टाइमांत आमच्या महाराष्ट्रीयन कल्चर पतीगिन तुम्ही उदंड वेश एवढी प्रेझेंट केलांत. I am very happy to hear you. And I wanted to tell you also that my daughter is also a Bharatanatyam artist. She has received a Kalaimamani award.
Oh, Kalaimamani award she has got, is it?
Yes, she has got from government of Tamil Nadu for the
Tamil Nadu, I know that.
from government of Tamil Nadu for Bharatanatyam.
What's the name?
TM Sridevi. She is
Sridevi.
TM Sridevi.
Very good.
She got Kalaimamani award for the year 2019. 2019.
Just 2 years ago.
And
Very
and
good.
she's
May
a
God
disciple
bless
of
Hi, thank you all. Tremendous response. So I have to. We have a restricted program, so our Sujata convener will take over now. Thank you.
May I request Divakar to please introduce Mrs. Sujata Vijayaraghavan, who will give her observations about the talk.
Hello.
Divakar.
Yeah, a bilingual writer, musician, and dance scholar, Sujata Vijayaraghavan combines 3 disciplines: literature, Carnatic music, and Bharatanatyam. A prolific writer in Tamil and English, Sujata has published poems, articles, short stories, travelogues, reviews, and a novel. As a musician, Sujata has provided vocal support for more than 3 decades to her mother Anantalakshmi Sadakopan, a renowned musician, and their concerts have been released as CDs. Sujata has composed kritis, songs, nursery rhymes, etc. in Carnatic music. Her anthem for environment in Tamil has been translated in several languages and sung by children on the web. Sujata has given talks and lecture demonstrations in Tamil and English on more than 60 topics on dance, music, and literature in India and the USA. Sujata has provided the research, script, and music supervision for several dance presentations by Guru Radha and has collaborated with legends like Lalgudi Jayaraman, Chitravina Ravikiran, and Vaijayanti Mala Bali for the productions. Her many awards include the title Nritya Seva Mani by the Cleveland Aradhana Committee, the Devan Award for her writings, Shrestha Kala Pracharak from Ganesha Natyalaya, New Delhi, and the title Satyavani Sundaram by Bharathanjali Trust, Chennai. We now invite Sujata Vijayaraghavan to present her observations.
I invite Sujata Vijayaraghavan. A very
Namaste. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, very well.
Okay, okay. Let me first thank Sujata Shankar and Tara Murali of Intact for inviting me to this wonderful evening to participate as an observer and give a few observations. I share. I would like to share a little secret with you all. There is an element of serendipity in this participation of mine today, because it so happened Mr. Arti Chari, where Mr. Vittal had given this talk years ago, he was dismantling his library and he invited some of us to come and pick up any books we would like to have. And there I found this booklet on Maharashtrians by Sri Vittal. That was one lecture I had missed, and I was happy that I could get a copy of the booklet. And I read it over a period of 1 week because it was packed with so much information. Although it was a very, very slim volume, it had so much information that I had to go back again and again to find out where I stood and where the story went. And he had given so much information there. And after I completed it, within 2 days, Tara Murali calls me and she asked me whether I could participate in a program like this. You can imagine my surprise. I told her, I now feel like a student who has really prepared really hard for an exam. And I've got a very easy question paper or a very interesting question paper. So with these few words, I come into this meeting. About Thanjavur Delta, it is said, Vandarai Varavaikum Bhumi, which means that it is a fertile land which allows every alien who comes in to settle down and prosper. It was so fertile in everything. It was fertile in its produce. It was fertile in its heritage, in its arts. It was practically full of all these things, given by the Cholas and then by the Nayaks. So people probably felt, what more can be added to this country? It is so rich in everything already. But then, according to Mr. Vittal, the Maharashtrians came and they proved they were not just invaders or conquerors or rulers of that land, but they had come to share a wealth of their heritage, which was the most important thing about the very brief period of history of the Maharashtrians. Mr. Vittal, in his book, he has mentioned works. One is the line from Bharati, Chingamarattiyardam Kavidai Kondu, Kerathu Dandangal Parisalippom. It was not an empty, ornate line. Bharati was fully aware of the literary tendencies, the literary wealth of the Maharashtrians. So that is why he said, Chingamarattiyardam Kavidai Kondu, Kerathu Dandangal Parisalippom. The other work Mr. Vittal has referred to in his book is Ponnivanathu Punguyil, a novel by Kottamangalam Subbu. It was serialized, I think, in Anand Vigadan. It is a very, very interesting and absorbing novel, and almost like a film script. You just can't put the book down. But it's packed with so much of history. He goes through the entire gamut of the Maharashtrian rulers and the social history of the times. And he brings in all the contributions of the Maharashtrians in that one novel. So it is, if we have the music and dance and painting and the other arts of the Tanjavur Delta, a lot of it have come from the Maharashtrians. In dance, of course, Bharatanatyam was already there. It was not something introduced by the Maharashtrians, but the Shahaji, he has composed a lot of items for Bharatanatyam, which are called Nirupanams. The Nirupanams are a group of items which used to be performed. In fact, those days, the dance program consisted of 18 different items. So Shahaji has composed Nirupanams in Marathi. And recently, it has been brought to light by a dancer from a Marathi dancer, Sucheta Bide, who learned from Tanjavur Kittappa Pillai, and she has been performing this Shahaji's Margam and the items composed by Shahaji Maharaja in Marathi. Likewise, of course, Mr. Vittal spoke about the Sangeeta Saramritam, and it is a very detailed treatise, and they were patrons of the art. They ruled over the land with a very, very benevolent hand. They were builders. They have built so much, as Mr. Vittal told us, given us beautiful buildings, and the architecture is so distinct, something which is not belonging to Tamil Nadu entirely, but it was brought down by them. And then, likewise, they ruled over the people with a lot of benevolence and affection. And they were great patrons of the arts, of the plastic arts and the performing arts. The Tanjavur painting, it flourished. It was introduced during that time, and it flourished under them. And it has a tradition which has come to this day. We have great paintings. If you remember, if Ravi Verma had models of the royal ladies of Travancore for his paintings, it is said that the royal ladies of the Maharashtrian clan were probably the models for the Tanjavur paintings we see today. Their dress, their ornaments, their features, they're all supposed to be from the Maharashtrian ladies. A number of them who were very beautiful. So then we have the music. There, the Harikatha was a form that came from the Maharashtra, and it was introduced in Tamil Nadu by the Maharashtrian rulers and the artists. When the rulers came there, a lot of courtiers also followed, because they realized that this was a land that would welcome them, where they can make a fortune and they can flourish under their own rulers. And so they were also followed by the artists who came, because they were sure they were going to find patronage in the court. So they pursued their arts under the patronage of these kings. But for their patronage, these artists probably would have gone back, or just languished. They would have languished and their art would have languished. But no, but the kings patronized them in a big way. And in fact, it was the Maharashtrian king Sarfoji who asked the Tanjavur quartet, the brothers, to come and be the Asthana Vidwans of his court. And he gave them house, he patronized them. And the Saravendra Bhupala Kuravanji was composed about him and was performed at the big temple in Tanjavur. So we have a very, very vital, a vibrant tradition, a heritage, because a people bring not just themselves, they bring their own language, and through the language, they bring their culture, they bring their arts, their philosophy, their temperament, everything comes. And Tamil Nadu was embraced everything. That is the greatness about our own land, which did not look up upon them as aliens. Just as we like their poli and sambar, we like their music and dance, we like their language, and we cherish them. So they were able to mingle and mix and blend with the community already there in Tanjavur and around. So this Harikatha became very popular, and so also the Nam Sankirtan. Nam Sankirtan is the Bhajani tradition, which also came from Maharashtra. Maharashtra had it for centuries before that. But it was introduced during the time of the Maharashtrians, and you know how popular the Nam Sankirtan sessions are. Because it is through the Nama, through the Nam Sankirtan, that we are able to commune immediately with the Almighty. It's a divine experience to participate in that. And the Harikatha also. Why do we need the Harikatha? We used to have the pravachanams, the storytellers, because our itihasas, our Puranas were all written in Sanskrit and very ornate poetry, which was not accessible to the common man. But it was always conveyed to the common people by learned scholars in a simple language, so that they could get the benefit of all the stories, all the Puranas, and the philosophy, and the teachings. But Harikatha made it even more attractive, because it was not just a lecture, it was not just a pravachanam, it had music, it had instruments, accompaniments, it also had dance, because even Abhinaya is part of Harikatha. The great Harikatha experts used to do Abhinaya as they sang. So it was an all-in-all entertainment. Like you can say what we have in the films. We have the song and the dance and the story and the action and the drama. So Harikatha had all that. And that was a great, great art, which was introduced at the time of the Maharashtrians and has been flourishing till now. And we still have more artists coming into the field, younger artists coming into the field, because it is a great communicator, one of the greatest communicative arts in the Indian firmament. So Mr. Vittal has given all this and much more in his book. In fact, I don't want to take any more time, because I'm sure all of you must be getting hungry for your dinner. But I really thank him for giving this treasure in a very, very concise manner, putting all facts together and making it so easily accessible to everybody, and has made a big mark in the consciousness of the Tamil people, of this little clan, which has given so much, which we still continue to cherish, and everything flourishes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Sujata Vijayaraghavan. Thanks so much for your inputs. May I request Rani to present the vote of thanks? Rani Vedamuthu, who's the co-convener with Divakar.
Thank you, Sujata. Namaste and a very good evening to everyone. It is indeed a very pleasant task for me to be proposing this Thanksgiving. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Nagarajan Vittal for weaving this beautiful narrative of the Tanjavur Maharashtrians and their cultural contributions, not just limited to the state of Tamil Nadu, but to a larger part of South India. Their legacy can be seen in various contributions such as governance, civil service, engineering, education, art, architecture, music, dance, and cuisine. And yes, their cuisine, the sambar, is a part of our daily culture too. It's part of everybody's cuisine in some way or the other, at least in Tamil Nadu. So thank you for providing us with this insight. And this legacy of governance and civil service by the forefathers of the Tanjavur Maharashtrians has continued, Mr. Vittal, in your brilliant career as an IAS officer, culminating in your contributions as a Central Vigilance Officer. So thank you very much for this wonderful presentation that you made, that you gave us today. And I would like to thank Mrs. Sujata Vijayaraghavan for providing us with her comments and observations and further insights into the culture and contributions of the Tanjavur Maharashtrians. There was tremendous response for this talk by Mr. Vittal. We had nearly around 100 participants this evening, pan-India, and it was very nice to see that there were many Maharashtrians, from Tanjavur and otherwise, on this for this talk, and it was very nice to see them connect with Mr. Vittal and share their share their experience, their legacies too. I thank Sujata Shankar, convener of the INTAC Tamil Nadu chapter, co-convener Divakar, Tara Murli, others, Padma Swaminathan, Shama, and the technical team of the Chennai chapter for putting this talk together. I thank all the friends and members of the INTAC chapters. Not only from Tamil Nadu, but from all over the country for participating in this event. And we'd like to see you more often in our events, in all the events that we organize online. So thank you. Good night and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I put in one question, although you have already extended the vote of thanks?
Yeah. Who is speaking?
I am Arun. I am actually from Rajasthan, from Udaipur. But I have lived all my life in Kolkata.
Yes.
So माझे एक लहान क्वेश्चन आहे. ये मराठास ये बोर्गी अटॅक्स करत होते की during the Maratha times, especially in the western part of Bengal. त्याच्यासाठी बेंगॉलांत महाराष्ट्रांवर काफी बदनाम आहे, because त्यांनी म्हणतात एमाद्री during the middle of 18th century तत येऊन Marathas were plundering and taking away a lot of wealth from the western part of Bengal. That is one question that I have. And the other question is there are a lot of Deshistha Marathis or Maharashtrians came all the way from Burma walking during the war. And my mother, who is still living, she is 87 years living in Bangalore, and her family actually came all the way walking from Rangoon to Calcutta, and then of course she got settled in Bangalore later on. So याच्यावरून तुमचं थोडं हायलाइट करला असेल तर बेस्ट असला असला.
माझ्या बुक व्हायला म्हणजे मी नुसतं प्रेसिंग मात्र करल नाही. There was Mr. Arun has brought out the general perception of Maharashtrian in certain cases. For example, in my own book, I have pointed out how a writer called Prapanchan has written a book called Manudam Vellum. That means humanity will win. And in that, he has described how when the Maharashtrians were on their way to the war, they used to loot their villages on the way. People were scared. What you mentioned about the marauding Maharashtras and the Maharashtras extracting money, particularly if you see in the time of the East India Company, when they established rule, you must read the complete volume volume number 8, brought by Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan in the cultural series of Indian, there is this side. So look at the Maharashtrian community. They were living in a land which was very unfriendly. Mahadev Govinda Ranade has pointed out how in a land where there is land is very hostile, and they had to live by loot, and therefore there is one stream of Maharashtrian history where you find that they had to loot to exist. The greatness of Shivaji, and particularly Samarth Ramdas, comes when Shivaji was able to unite them and come together and establish discipline. He was very strict about honoring the women and not looting and all that. It is Shivaji Maharaj, because he was all the time guided by saints like Samarth Ramdas. That is one side. But the other side, what happened in Bengal, they had to, when the greatness of Shivaji lies in the fact, out of these scattered people who were accustomed to this in a hostile land, he was able to rise above them, integrate all of them, and then establish law and order. So that is why there is one side conquest, and the other side the result of conquest, establishing proper governance. And it is the tradition which they established that survived. We looked at one side, there is a darker side which has been brought out also by both in history, by Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan's this thing, and writers, novelists like Prapanjan, who has written about how the agriculturists used to be afraid and all that. But his whole thing changed when they started ruling. Once they became established rulers, they brought to the same land prosperity. So history, you cannot forget the both sides. But if you you should see, they did not continuously engage in only destructive activities, and in those times they were the defenders. In fact, Kottamangalam Subbu, in that Ponnivanathu Punguil story, which is referred to by Vijayaraghavan, the lady who spoke, he brings out how they were the people who defended not only our country but our culture. When there was attack from one side, the Mughals or the Muslim rulers, the other, the foreigners, like the British and French, and not only the Portuguese and so on. Every foreigner has been compared. They started the whole navy. So modern evolution has come. There is also the hard side, but it's a question of which side you look at. As Buddha says, when the finger points to the moon, the fool look at the finger. It's your choice. You want to look at the finger or you want to look at the moon.
Was Kalula Sayaka, all Krishna of co-brother.
Oh, so next.
BHL.
Yes. All the best. Nice seeing you at so many years.
Yeah. Now, only one thing I want to just for information I'm giving, that Maratha Education Fund in Alwarpet,
yes,
they published a book in the year 1940. That is, they given details of all the Maharashtrians as to where they come, everything. 1937.
Yes.
I got that book.
Yeah.
I got that book.
I referred to that book also in my paper.
I referred. Okay. Congratulations for giving me.
Thank you.
Just like to add that Maratha Education Fund's Silver Jubilee book that was published in 1937 has been published, with Saraswati Dole having written the new volume. So recently that's been brought out as extra copies for, since that 37 volume was out of print. It's a very valuable publication with full details of the community. Thank you all so much for being here. The response has been truly overwhelming, and we thank everyone for being here. And Mr. Vittal, we are extremely grateful for this wonderful talk. And although Rani's already done the vote of thanks, since the questions ran across, I'm saying another thanks to you. Thank you so much. Good night all.